Capitalism, everybody. It's killing us all.
Hello, good morning.
Oh, good morning, BBs. It's too early.
It sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
Oh, how was your weekend?
Anthony, people who've known me for a long time or have watched my stream have heard many ridiculous stories of me existing in the world and having to interact with strangers, but most of those take place in a Lyft or an Uber.
Sure.
Last night, I'm hanging out with a friend. And
Humble brag.
And it's about 9 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
maybe pushing 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, let me just grab a Lyft home.
So I've been asleep for 3 hours at this point.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just going to grab a Lyft home. It's like fucking 5 minutes. No problem. It was like, oh, close enough to walk during the day. It's nighttime. No walk.
Sure.
A man pulls up in a big fucking SUV up to the curb. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and there's no door handles.
Right.
So I have to like reach in through the window to get to the door handle because he's like, hey, sorry, the door handles don't work. You have to reach in through the window.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right.
That's fine. Things happen.
That's not a great start.
No.
It's not a great start, but
The
okay.
screeching up is weird.
Screeching up is weird. The door handles is weird. I get in the car and he goes, thank you for being outside. I can't see anything at night. And I went, what? And he said, I don't know how people drive at night. I can't even see. I wouldn't have even seen you standing there if you hadn't walked up to the car. And I was like, I beg your unbelievable goddamn pardon. He was like, I don't drive at night. And I was like, you are currently driving at night. And he was like, yeah, I need a couple more hours this week. So decided to go out, but I'll never do it again.
Capitalism, everybody. It's killing us all. It's putting us all in deadly situations.
He continues to be like, yeah, it's my first time ever driving at night. I was like, ever right now? And he's
In
like,
life?
Uh-huh. Old man. Older man. Not old, older man. The car is driving the wrong direction.
Dope.
He makes 2 middle of the road U-turns trying to figure out where he's going. And I'm like,
Yes.
you know, they have the
Yes.
phone mounted.
Yes.
It shows them the directions. And
Can't
he's like,
see the
I don't
phone.
understand where I'm going. I don't know what's going on.
Doesn't understand the phone.
And he's
Can't
like,
see.
you just tell me where to go. You just tell me where to go. And I'm trying to figure out because I can see that the directions on his phone are not giving him directions to my house. And I realize that it is because he has not marked me as picked up. So it's trying to get him back to the pickup location. Now, hey, for all my femme-looking people in the live studio audience, get out. At that point, evacuate.
Yeah.
Because if somebody does not mark you as picked up, they are no longer tracking your ride.
Yeah.
So I get the notification on my phone that they are sending another driver for me
Yep.
because he has not marked me as picked up. And he's like, you just tell me where to go. You just tell me where to go. And I was like, hey man, why don't you pull over? And he's like, what? And he goes, well, you don't seem like you know where you're going. And I was like, I'm not supposed to know where I'm going. I'm not the driver. You are. Pull over your car. Pull over your car and let me out of your car. So I had him pull over the car and he's like, well,
Yeah.
let me at least, and no. So I had to jump out of a car because he was like, oh, well, at least let me get you further. And I was just like, the door is open now.
Buddy,
The door is open now. I'm exiting this car. And I
Look.
left his car and I walked.
This is like, all right. If So, if I were behind the wheel blind and my job was to professionally drive,
And you don't drive super good at night.
I simply, that's your opinion.
No, you say it all the time, Anthony. You say, I don't like driving at night. I can't see very well
I don't
at
like
night."
driving at night ever since I got LASIK. LASIK
not me.
ruined my
This
night
is not
vision a
me.
little bit.
This is not me.
It's not her. It's not her. No, LASIK made my night vision a little worse, and so I don't like to drive at night. I can see pretty well at night behind the wheel. I simply do not want to drive because I know my vision is worse at night.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do it. If my job was to professionally drive people and I could not see, first of all, I simply would not say it out loud.
Yep.
I simply would not say it out loud.
Yep.
Because what do we gain? What do we gain with radical honesty at that point? You know what I mean?
Correct.
What do we get out of that? Though it's good that he did, because that let your spidey senses start. Not even your spidey senses. I like, if he was like, yeah, my night vision's horrible, I'd just be like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Get out, stop immediately.
Yeah.
Buddy, pull over, clock out. We're done here.
Pull over, clock out, go home, buddy.
Go home, try it again tomorrow.
Sierra Misto said exactly what the problem is, which is you can't even report the driver since he didn't mark you as picked up. So in my ride history, he doesn't show up.
No. You can't
now,
like go show.
It's like, oh, you can reach out to Lyft. But here's what I'll say. Here's a scarier story that immediately made me go, we're not risking this one again.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I had somebody not mark me as picked up, they continued to drive away from my location, drive in a mystery direction, and not let me out of their car.
Were you telling me about this?
It was like 2018, and I was being picked up to take to work. It wasn't showing up in the app as I was picked up, and I was like, that's very weird. And he like could see where I was supposed to go, so he drove in that direction and then just passed it and kept driving and driving while I was like screaming and hitting the back of his seat, and then I jumped out of a moving car.
To be fair, in 2018, it was that big year where the big prank on YouTube was to randomly pick up a random woman in your car and drive across state lines. It was a fun YouTube prank. We all remember this.
Fun.
We all remember the fun YouTube prank where you pick up a stranger and you drive her across the state lines and you're like, oh, surprise, we're in Nevada. And it's like, what? It was fun. It was like real fun goofs.
I believe they called that a social experiment.
It was a social experiment.
I believe it was
what
a
it was.
social experiment.
Now, Art Pleb says, is this like a full grift this guy's running? I don't think so. There's nothing, I think in this situation, like Saige is saying, older guy, new to Lyft, new to technology, sort of nervously just admitting everything that's going wrong in that way where it's like.
I don't know that I see him as that innocent.
No, but.
Maybe, could be they didn't know technology, but also he was like, I mean, he also tried to say, I've done over 1,000 rides. I've done over 1,000 rides, just never at night. Because when I was like, hey, you're going the wrong direction, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That was his like, how dare you, I've done over 1,000 Lyft rides. So I'm pretty sure he knows how to use the app.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, our plug is Sloan.
Fair.
Hi, Sloan.
Oh, hi, Sloan. Hi, Sloan. I don't think that I don't know what the grift would be other than, obviously abducting a woman.
Yeah, no, that's the one. That's the one we're looking out for.
That's the one.
That's really the one that we're keeping a close eye on.
Grift. That's the big grift. But I will say, do you feel like now that you're out of the situation, do you feel like that was it, or do you just feel like this guy sucked?
I don't know. That's kind of one of those things that you exist in, like presenting feminine in society, is every time you leave a situation that may or may not have been dangerous, you have to go, well, maybe I avoided being murdered. Maybe I didn't.
Well, that's
you
life. You
never know.
That's life, baby.
People were asking me, like, did you go back to where you were coming from? No, I just walked home. And I, like, called my mom while I was walking. And she was like, why are you walking? Why are you walking at night?
You were farther from home at that point?
Than from where I came from? Yeah, but I got to get home, and I'm not calling another Lyft because I'm not risking him coming back.
You can always call me, even if you're asleep, even if I'm asleep. You're one of like 3 numbers that goes through when I'm asleep.
I didn't know my number goes through when you're sleeping.
Yeah, of course it does.
Aww.
Of course it does, because your entire life is stories like this.
You could have said it was because you loved me or because we're such good friends.
Yeah, all of those things are true.
Because I'm your bestie.
Yeah, but also...
Yeah.
Your entire life is stories like this.
Yes, it is.
Look, Anthony can get you on his scooter. You'd have to find the pieces of that scooter and reassemble it like a freaking, like the dial of destiny.
That I held at my house going, Anthony, I swear to God, if you ever get back on this motherfucking scooter, I will never speak to you again. I swear to God.
I got this, I keep getting these ads for these great electric motorcycles. They look real cool.
Not a goddamn chance.
I'm still wearing scar tape on my ankle.
Yeah.
I'm still wearing...
I know.
It's been a year, and I'm still wearing scar tape on my ankle.
Sierra Misto had a sick burn, though, and said, that's a funny way of saying scooter. That was just like a really just like It was a really concentrated little burn.
What?
It's a funny way of saying scooter.
They do have full-size electric motorcycles.
Got him. Hey. Got him.
You sound like Yoshi eating an apple when you say that. Got him.
Anyways, everybody be careful. Here's your reminder that Lyft and Uber drivers, just dudes. I have the most ridiculous collection specifically of Uber and Lyft ride experiences. I have 20 of these stories. Ranging from like silly, funny, weird to like absolutely dangerous.
I've only got a couple like really weird ones, but they're like, they're really weird. Like one guy picked me up from the Burbank airport, just vaping the most weed I've ever had anybody vape, and like was like, AC doesn't work, but I got the windows rolled down. I don't live that far from the Burbank airport. I'm like, all right, let's fucking go. I get in, and this dude is like cutting across traffic. He's driving with one hand. He's looking out the window. He's like screaming. He's like trying to put on like a mixtape for me of like his like these jam bands that he loves. And he's like looking out and like he passes a turn and like full on does like the reverse and like the one arm like backwards turn and like just screeching and everything.
Horrifying.
Just horrifying. He's going like 60 and like 30-mile-an-hour zones.
Man's playing like, GTA.
It was just really amazing. Just really amazing. And then the second one was as I was going home from from SFO when I lived in San Francisco. Along the way, as this guy's driving me, weirder and weirder things start peppering into our conversation where he just starts going, "But you already knew that, didn't you?" And I'm just like, "Huh?" I was like, "No, how would I know that?" And it was like talking about something about his life. And I was like, "No." And as he was going, it got like more and more paranoid to the point where he thought that I was part of like the surveillance against him and like the surveillance that the government had on him. And he was getting like more and more paranoid and stuff. And I got out of the car. And when I got out of the car, like, cause he was just like, he was getting really furious with me towards the end. And like in his mind, this was like, oh, you thought that you were going to get in this car to surveil me, but I know who you are. And I'm just letting you know that I know who you are and I know you all are watching me. And like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, man. All right. And then as I got out.
Sure thing, man. He's on to us.
No, I'm not. And as I got out of the car, I walked in and my partner at the time, I was just like, what do I do? Do I report, if I report this man to Lyft, which I have to do.
Yes.
When I report this man to Lyft, he will be fired. He will be.
Well, if it's a man reporting it, yeah.
He'll be kicked off the app. And at that point, that was back in the day where if you were driving Lyft, you've already been kicked off of Uber. Like it was that early, you know what I mean?
Well, then that person shouldn't be driving people.
No.
And I know there's like a lot of conversation to be had about people's livelihoods there, but
I was like,
tough.
What do I do to make sure that he doesn't just get fired, that somebody looks into this?
Right.
And like, I got in touch with like Uber support and I was like talking to them because you can't talk to them on the phone. I was like chatting. I was like, listen, I don't know what's going on. I want to make sure he's okay. I want to make sure somebody checks in to make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe like call his emergency contact. He might be on medication. He might normally be fine. Right. I don't want him to be like fired over this. Like I really like put that out there.
Yeah.
And they were just like, yeah, of course. And I was just like, that guy just got fired.
Yeah.
That guy, they're not going to deal with that.
If I had a nickel for every time a male Uber driver ended the ride and said, fuck it, let's just hang out while I was still in his car, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
It's more nickels than you want. Although I will say on the flip side of that, I did have an Uber driver that tried to get me to the train station to get me to like Comic-Con a few years ago. And I just traffic and stuff, just missed the train. And I was like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I got to get to Comic-Con. I'm supposed to be at a thing tonight. And he was like, look up how much it is on the app right now. I'll charge you half. Let's go to San Diego. And I was like, all right, man, let's go to San Diego. Because I'm a dude and I can do that.
That's the thing you can do. I can't do that.
Because I'm a dude and I can do that. He's like, all right, let me just call my girlfriend and tell her that I'm going to be a couple hours. And I was like, all right, man. We stopped at the outlet malls halfway there.
No.
Because he had to charge, because it was a Tesla, he had to charge it.
No.
We stopped at the outlet mall halfway down, and he was just like, yeah, I got to charge, man. Like, I don't know. Do you want to
go to the Gap outlet?
Yeah, he was like, do you want to get lunch or just walk around, or like you do you or whatever? And I was just like, yeah, man, let's go get an ice cream. I got ice cream with him, and then
Anthony Carboni.
And then we just drove all the way down. He's an all right guy.
Male privilege is so real.
He's a SoundCloud rapper, obviously.
I'm very curious. There's been so many really interesting Uber and Lyft stories in the chat. I'm going to go back and read them after the show, so this video is not me just sitting here staring and reading.
Yeah.
But do continue to share, because I am going to go back and read them, or you can leave them in the Discord or the YouTube comments later, because I do want to see all of these, because I have like a million more of them.
He helped me pick out sunglasses. Mm-hmm. Because I got that Vans outlet.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was a nice time.
I had someone sing me songs from the Guild.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Fully, like, Can I Sing For You? Performed.
Oh, no. Hey, we're just gonna... You BB's like Baldur's Gate? Just... You like that Baldur's Gate? If you do, you're not alone. Baldur's Gate 3 is the highest rated PC game ever on Metacritic.
Wow.
The highest rated PC game ever, Saige.
That's wild.
There is no higher. Think about every game that's ever come out for the personal computer.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate is the highest rated out of all of them. That's pretty nuts.
That is. That's really wild. And that's not us saying that from the perspective of it doesn't deserve it. It's just like, wow.
No,
it's hard to believe
the barrel
any
instead
game.
of the crate.
It's hard to believe any game is the game, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe the previous one in the live studio audience, we're hearing from Blade of Creation saying, eat shit Disco Elysium. I believe that's true. I believe Disco Elysium was highest rated right before that.
Wow.
Yeah. But it is now Baldur's Gate. The developers are like, hey, that's, listen, this is not, we don't really think we're the best game. We're talking about a lot of different games here.
Yeah.
Obviously one game is different to the other, Don't get too crazy about it.
But not as good as ours. Get fucked. That's what they said at the end of their statement.
Yeah. He says, listen, change the conditions in which you make a thing and you change the thing you make. That's common sense for any other medium, but in games, I don't see the truth acknowledged that often. And what he was talking about like making sure you make the right game with the right people.
At the right time.
At the right time, in the right way. Like treating your people well. And
that fucking slaps. I'm enjoying the hell out of this game.
I meant to play more of it this weekend, but I was doing a project on my computer that made my video card scream at me.
Okay.
It was yelling.
I'm definitely gonna play more of it tonight. I'm streaming it tonight.
I gotta play some more of it. Because of things like this. The owlbear from the top rope, Saige. Have you heard about owlbear from the top rope?
Nope.
Owlbear from the top rope is, well, I'll show you a clip of it if you'd like.
Okay. Do you need audio?
You can see the owlbear go from the top rope.
Okay.
But basically, that owlbear...
It's just a really low quality video.
That is a terrible quality video, but
there
it is.
You
see that owlbear is up on crates, and it's going to do its diving attack after making itself, that as big as it can using the mass.
Oh, yeah.
So Druid changes into Owlbear. Owlbear uses the enhanced mass and then the diving attack from the top of the castle, 800 points of damage. Insta-kill anything in the game. Owlbear from the top rope.
That's sick as fuck.
That's D&D, baby.
That's sick as fuck.
That's why this game is D&D.
Because enhanced mass is not a spell in 5e.
I forget what it's called.
Is it an enlarge and reduce?
Enlarge. It's enlarge.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So it scales. That's the thing is I forgot that. What I was saying is Crushing Flight scales with mass.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking.
And I want to be very clear. I'm not doing a glasses push-up. I'm not, how do I do this in a D&D game?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't think that's what you're doing.
I play a lot of druids. how am I going to do this at home in my game when I play in Dungeons and Dragons?
The first player ever to do it got an incredible 1,170 points of damage.
Oh!
Larian's director of publishing, Michael Dowse, tweeted to say, I'm 99% sure most people at Larian didn't even know you could do this.
Fuck yeah. I love that shit. And that's a cool ass response.
Yeah.
That's a cool ass response.
You know,
Hell yeah.
The crate thing is so funny because it was like, I'm not just jumping from the top of this castle. I'm also, we call stacking crates in Baldur's Gate 3, we call it mercering now. He mercered a few crates just to get the extra height.
Fuck yeah, I did.
To jump off and cause even more damage.
Sick as hell. I love it. That's really cool.
Yeah. People also found out that you can play fetch with dogs in the game.
Uh-huh.
Which is something that like a lot of the developers were like, oh, I didn't know that we put that in there.
How did you not know?
Man, it's such a huge game. The team that put the dogs playing fetch into it, like maybe it was on like the other side of the office committing like completely different commits than the other people. It was just like, I didn't know.
I don't know. That's pretty
great.
cool.
Put that
Nice.
in.
Good for us.
Matt Mercer? Yes. Matt Mercer was the first person to stack crates to get past something on a Baldur's Gate 3 stream. And it went viral last week. There's a big castle that like you have to fight your way into at some point.
Yeah.
Because D&D. And he was like, man, there are a lot of crates here. And so he just stacked up all the crates on the side of the castle where there were no guards. He didn't go into initiative. He wasn't seen. And he walked right up to the top of the castle.
Nice.
And that's why it's the highest rated PC game ever. Because of the crates mostly. The things you can do with crates in this game.
Yeah. Well,
you can break them. You can stack them.
there's often things in them if you do break them.
You can break them and there's stuff in them.
I love loot.
And those are crates.
Well, in contrast to the best reviewed game, we must also then find the low point of the lowest reviewed game. The worst reviewed game on Steam. Everybody who has not already read this news story, take your guesses.
What is the
This is
worst
your
reviewed
chance.
game on Steam? We're gonna give you 20 seconds.
We're gonna give you 20 seconds, and what I'll say is it's not like a weird little like nothing game. Like it's a game you know. It's a game you know.
Speaking of which, have you played Only Up?
No.
You gotta play Only Up.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a few votes for Gollum. Makes sense. And then we've got some people that have seen it. We've got Cyberpunk 2077.
Yep.
Right? Okay. We've got Mass Effect 3, Flight Simulator.
But overwhelmingly, most people are saying, and they are correct,
Overwatch 2. And look, I love to see a trash company fail.
Ooh,
it
there's
feels
nothing we
good.
love more.
It feels good
what,
when
were you
bad
treating your
people-
people wrong? Ooh. We're sorry for the team that had to keep working on it, but for the company at large?
Now, I'm not going to do the gesture, but do you remember the South Park like cable providers going, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
We're sorry.
We're sorry. I'm not going to do the gesture, but you know what I'm talking about, and that's exactly how I feel right now. Overwatch 2 makes history as the worst reviewed game on Steam.
That's right. Just a day after launch, the game was sitting at mostly negative rating based on 45,000 user reviews. That is now no longer the case. It's fallen to overwhelmingly negative based on 98,000 views. Reviews, yeah. Ooh! And according to Steam 250's Hall of Shame, Overwatch 2 is the worst reviewed game on Steam with an average user score of 0.96 at the time of writing.
Whoo!
Now listen, this is not surprising. This is a terrible company
That made a shit game.
that made a shit game that didn't deliver on 75% of what they said would be in this game.
Correct.
And the whole time we were going, is this Overwatch DLC? Because if it's just Overwatch DLC, why don't you just make a point release? Do a point release it a little bit at a time. These games are big. Don't do what you're doing. And they said, no, because what we need is to charge you for a second game. What we need to do is charge you for a second fucking game.
Yep. People saying that a record across platforms is exclusively Steam. Just Steam.
We need to completely change the way we make money off of this.
Yep.
completely revamp it.
Yep.
So we can charge you in new and interesting ways.
There is the free-to-play portion of this with all of the many types of battle passes and stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying. But all of that stuff was put in when they like swapped it, or like they added so much new monetization stuff.
Oh, yeah,
and they couldn't have done that in a point release without everybody being like, what are you doing to Overwatch?
And gave us nothing. And again, I have to say this every time we talk about it, because there is a lesson here in even if you like something, if it's bad, grow up and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch was my favorite game. The first Overwatch was my favorite fucking game. And hey, fuck Blizzard.
Yep.
Fuck Activision. Fuck Overwatch. You know, I used to cosplay Diva. Like, I was in it, y'all. I have boxes of things I've given away of Overwatch memorabilia.
Hey.
Because you find out that people are bad and terrible, and it's okay that you didn't know. And once you know, you do better.
And you know what? There are other games.
There's so many
There's so many other games. You can play Baldur's Gate 3.
You can play Baldur's Gate 3 right now.
Do you think you could
play Plastic Duck Simulator?
Stack crates, stand on top with a stick, throw the stick, and a dog would jump off of a castle to catch the stick?
Non-Overwatch 2, it wouldn't.
Not an Overwatch 2.
Find out in Baldur's Gate. Look, Blizzard,
I had actual feelings about the May short. Yeah, I loved. I
animated
loved
shorts
the animated world.
were wonderful. Unfortunately, made by a horrible company that took advantage of, abused, and endangered people. It's just what it is. It's what happened.
And they
it's not
made
okay.
some incredibly wild decisions along the way that above and beyond the mistreatment of people were just completely odd from a business standpoint. Like, the Overwatch animated stuff is just came out. That Overwatch anime or whatever, like, just came out. Because it took them like 10 years to admit that they couldn't make the game and all the other games they were making and animate the stuff themselves. If they had released an Overwatch animated series or an Overwatch animated movie when that game first came out, it would have out-arcaned Arcane.
Yeah.
It would have been the biggest thing in the world.
And look, I'm glad that they didn't. I'm glad they didn't, because that might have overshadowed some of the horrible things that they were doing. But here's the thing. A lot of the time, we run into these situations where we're like, damn, it sucks so much when terrible people make things that are really good.
Yeah.
And then it's a harder like dilemma for people, which is like complicated and nuanced and not a thing we're going to get into. But God, is it nice sometimes when people just make shit games.
Listen.
And it's easy for us to just go, wow, everything you do is trash.
And here's what's wild is because of the way live service games are developed and made, don't worry about the Overwatch you used to play. It doesn't exist anymore.
Nope.
It's gone. You can't go back and play it even if you wanted to. So the moral dilemma has been decided for you in this case.
Yeah.
You can simply stop playing it.
I am also very excited for Stray Gods. A lot of our chat is very excited for Stray Gods.
Yeah, we've got some friendly friends in Stray Gods.
Very exciting. Very exciting. All right, moving on. Never talking about them again.
Pokemans.
Yeah, there was quite a few Pokemon stories today.
Yeah, the Pokemans are having their Scarlet and Violet World Championships.
Ooh.
It's going on. It's happening. It's very big. And a lot of players are getting disqualified.
What are they doing to get disqualified?
Well, it turns out they're hacking them Pokemans.
No.
Now,
it.
Here's the deal. There are a few ways to get your Pokemon that are considered tournament ready. You can basically play a ton of Pokemon, breed them, and train them on your own.
Yeah.
You can trade with somebody else, or you can use this homebrew program called PK Hex that edits your save data and gets hacked versions of the exact team you want.
Okay.
A lot of people do the third method if they don't have time to put together a proper team. Now, the problem is the Pokemon Company and the people who run these tournaments are like, don't hack shit. Don't come. Because then everybody's playing with perfect teams.
Right.
And like, what's the point? Like, where's the investment? Now, World Championships are going on in Yokohama right now. And they are finally like cracking down. And what's happening is some players are saying, I didn't even know that some of my Pokemon, they're called genned when they're hacked. Some players are like, I didn't even know that my Pokemon were genned. I traded with somebody else.
Yeah.
And then some people are like, yeah, I hacked because that's what we do. I didn't have time to put together this team. I had one Pokemon that everybody does this. This is like a rule that they never enforce, or they haven't enforced, or they didn't even like explicitly state before in the past.
I think it's perfectly fair to not allow it in a tournament. I think it's perfectly fair to not allow hacks in a tournament.
Yeah,
it's a bummer for the people that traded and didn't know. Like, that fucking sucks. But like, it makes sense to ask everybody to commit the same amount to building up their squad to be able to compete in a tournament. Because it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if you want to just have your hacked Pokemon and you just play Pokemon and that doesn't affect other people, totally
but
fine.
In tournament, I mean, like, I don't get to print my own Magic cards.
Exactly. Right.
I don't get to print my own Magic cards. It's like, oh, guess what, Post Malone? It's called the 2-ring now. Eat shit. Right. One of the big competitors said this. So Brady Smith said, DQ'd at 2-0. Should have gotten my Mons myself. Half my team was Mod and Gen. I didn't have Legends of Arceus to get the one that I needed, and I didn't have a copy of Sword Shield to get the other one that I needed. I tried trading for the Mons with a reputable trader, but the Mons didn't pass, blah, blah, blah. And then this response is like, I honestly think Pokemon would be much more enjoyable and accessible if everyone could use an in-game feature to generate any Pokemon to use in official competitions. Then the player base would be much larger, and there'd be much more interest in VGC. I go back to thinking about Magic here, where I think about how there are the different kinds of tournaments, and like one is like bring your own deck. The other one is like we're all popping open a box of cards right now, build the best deck you can. I think there's a place to be like, hey, you're showing up to Yokohama. You have 6 Pokemon. It could be any 6 Pokemon you want, but you're showing up with only 6. Yeah, and that's part of the tournament. It doesn't matter if they're hacked or if they're generated or whatever. If this is something that a lot of the players are doing, I think that's fun and fine to make 2 separate tournaments with 2 different sets of rules. Yeah. I think the reason they probably won't do that is like if it's an official Pokemon tournament, they're not going to be like, hey, did you know you can hack Nintendo games? Right. Like, I think that's probably not it.
That makes sense.
But I do like the idea of like, hey, let's pretend that we're all Pokemon trainers. If you were a Pokemon trainer, what are the 6 Pokemon you would want?
Playing in something like that is fun. I absolutely see the fun in it. And I think that like as a community hosted event, that makes a lot of sense. It also makes a lot of sense that Nintendo's not hosting it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, and then once again, this is the Scarlet Violet tournament. Yeah. This is not Pokemon trading card, which is a completely different league with a completely different thing.
Alex said exactly that. You can absolutely proxy TCG cards for any kind of play, but it makes sense that tournaments don't allow it. Yeah. It's just different.
Roberto Parente, who placed in the top 16 at last year's World Championship, was thrown out of the tournament on the first day. He said, got disqualified from World's last round on 4-2. Can't stop crying. So many effort put into this season for literally nothing. Canceling the Open less than 1 month before Worlds, plus this new hack check last minute. No, it makes no sense. We spend money for this. We need respect. Look, if you used a loophole, I understand the sadness of being like, I flew from another country.
Yeah, that's a huge fucking bummer.
That's a huge fucking bummer. They changed this rule at the last minute. We didn't know this check was going to be there. Yeah. Like, hey, it sucks when they figure out what a new kind of steroid is too. Right. You know what I mean?
Shit.
Like,
you're right, dog. You're right.
Like, it sucks. It sucks when you show up to get weighed in and get your blood tested, and they go, by the way, we found out how to test for this thing because it's performance enhancing and we don't like it. Like, that sucks. Sorry, bud.
Yeah.
Sorry you have a bunch of back knee for nothing.
Fuck.
You know?
Hey, another Pokemon news. All the starters are coming to Scarlet and Violet. Oh, except I can't show you. Give me just a second. Right. Yeah, I guess fuck that. Anyways, you know what the starters look like, I guess. So that's fine.
What is this?
What?
Is
this was just an extra thing.
Oh, it's just an extra thing.
Just an extra thing. I'm just telling you about the starters.
Oh, all right.
It's not a big deal.
All right.
Just saying.
Okay.
Every starter is officially coming.
I was just gonna bring it up.
Yeah, they announced it at this event. So let's see. Do you work now? Do you work
Yeah.
now? Yeah. So here is your list right here, of course. Bulbasaur, Squirtle. These are all just the ones that weren't already in the
Yeah.
Pokedex. If you're not like a huge Pokemon fan, you may not know, not all Pokemon that have ever existed are in every game. A smaller selection of them.
Much to the chagrin of many, many players who discuss that
Doesn't
all the
bother
time.
me. You would be just playing the same game over and over again, and
Doesn't
it would
bug
be
me
like
either.
all plus 2 more every time you got a new game. There cannot be that many Pokemon in every game. It makes sense to limit the roster.
There's like 1,500 fucking Pokemon now
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pokemon.
That's 100. That's like 100 times the amount of Pokemon there were.
Yeah.
Or 10 times. What are zeros?
Basically 100 times.
There's like a million
probably
times.
like a million times more Pokemon.
Do they allow you in the new one? I didn't play a bunch of the old ones. You know, I got into the Pokemon games later.
Yeah.
But do they still do that thing with like Pokemon Box and Pokemon Home where like even if the Pokemon's not in the game, you can like bring in your old Pokemon to do stuff? Or do they not do that anymore? Do they just go like, fuck you?
You can't bring in anything.
All right.
I don't think. Like there are limitations rather.
I mean, that makes sense. If they haven't made a 3D model of a particular Pokemon or
right.
put it in a game, I don't know. Like,
Look at all these starter friends.
I don't particularly mind if I'm in Paldea. Like the way the games are made, and the story that they tell is like, I'm a kid in Paldea.
Yeah.
There are certain animals that are native to North America.
Yeah.
And parts of North America that aren't native to other parts of North America or the rest of the world.
Right.
Where am I going to see one of those?
Yeah.
I'm not going to. So I don't mind it. I don't mind that if you're in Paldea, you catch Pokemon that are in Paldea. I think that's fine.
I love the Pokemon regions.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit of a special interest of mine and one of my favorite things about Pokemon, and like the ones that are exclusive versions for the regions are just like, my personal favorite region, I'm an Alola girly.
Oh, yeah.
I think Alola's the best Pokemon region ever, and I know I'm going to get a little bit flamed for that for people wanting something that's like a little more OG, but that's the Sun and Moon region.
No, but it's tropical. It's vacation. They're weird looking. The Diglets have hair.
It's just, the setting is beautiful, the game is beautiful, and the original Pokemon that they did for it are beautiful. They made some really cool additions to these. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. Have you seen Overcast Oddities?
Have you seen The Wall in My House, Anthony? I have one of these.
Oh, do you?
I do. It's a little different. I have one of the, okay, here, we'll show the people.
So this is Overcast Oddities is one of my favorite like Etsy sellers. They do Pokemon taxidermy and then like terrariums of like Zelda stuff and video game stuff.
Staryu.
Yeah, the Staryu's really good.
So Kaylee, for my birthday a couple years ago, got me the Zubat skeleton.
I do remember this.
It looks like a little bat skeleton, but it has Zubat under it and it has like the additional like set of bones for the other wings, and it has like the Pokemon number under it.
One of my favorite ones is all the different butterflies from Zelda. It's just really nice. It's just really nice. You can get a Butterfree terrarium. They have cool stuff.
Say the name of the store again.
It's Overcast Oddities.
For the BBs. Yeah, so I'm a goth, and taxidermy is a big part of goth culture, but taxidermy makes me actually incredibly sad, and I cannot have it in my house. It would make me cry.
Yeah.
Couldn't handle it. So this is a very good blend of it, of where it's like, it's a little silly and nerdy. It's got a little fantasy element to it. It looks pretty goth on my wall, but also every time I walk by, I'm not like, does that mean bats die?
Does that mean bats they only live for a certain amount of time? Yeah, I've seen this stuff done in other fandoms as well, where you can get like skulls of different animals from different things. And I think, I don't know, I like it. I think it's a neat thing in comparison to your standard like collecting figures or collecting, collecting like posters and things like that. Because it's just, not that there's anything wrong with that stuff. I have a lot of that stuff, but it's just something kind of fun and different.
Yeah.
Particularly as you're looking to change things up and like class up your place a little.
I love merch that don't look like merch.
I love merch that don't look like merch.
Big fan of that. I have a lot of that in my house. I no longer buy things that are usually like direct merchandise. I buy things a lot of the time from Etsy that look like art, that are sneakily merch, that are sneakily fandom stuff.
I love things like that. I've got one of my favorite prints that I have is it's a Shadow of the Colossus print that's made to look like a 60s Saul Bass like movie intro. And it's just this giant like pink hand. It's like, it's gorgeous. And I like stuff like that. Plus you get to support independent artists a lot of the time rather than like, just buying from like a huge brand.
Alex said, I went to a very neat museum yesterday with a goofy take on modern art and art history called the Brainwash Museum.
Oh yeah, Mr. Brainwash. That's from the exit through the gift shop.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the Brainwash Museum is now set up here in LA.
That's cool. I'd like to go to that.
Yeah, it's fun.
That sounds neat. We got some like bigger stories to get into, but I think we're out of games.
Well, we have one more. We have a couple more gamey things.
Yeah?
I do want to show. So AI is a situation that's very fraught. But I'd like to show some things. If you move towards the end of that video, you definitely want to. I watched this on YouTube. This is a YouTuber who used multiple AIs to create a self-aware Lara Croft that plays the original Tomb Raider on the PC. Trained it for thousands of hours, and she plays and she speaks in Lara Croft's voice.
I'm just having, what?
So
do I need to unmute this? Do we need to listen to this?
Yeah, you can hear her if you unmute. She'll talk.
Wake up, door. Wake up, wake up. Oh, damn, I think I broke it.
So the AI is playing the game.
Okay, I was just too quick. I guess the devs underestimated my skills.
So
whoa.
Home music. The notes seem to indicate a mystery. It's a good game design choice. I like it.
So,
oh my God.
He gave Lara a personality. And one of the things is in the first game, there's a part of the tutorial where Lara talks to you like she knows she's in a game. So one of the things he did was when he gave, I think he used ChatGPT. All of these things are ChatGPT. He's like, you're Lara Croft. This is your personality. These are your personality traits ranked.
Yeah.
And number 1 was like adventurer. Number 2 was archaeologist. Number 3, and it went down to like 4 is like video game character that knows you're in a video game. Like, and it was farther down. And then plugged that into an AI, like a voice AI that was trained on Lara Croft's voice from the clips from the original game, all taken off of the CD. Then trained an AI, a visual AI, to play the game. And all of the AIs work together to play through an entire level. Now, the video's been cut down. So he said like, in this video, I show you about 15 minutes of her getting from the beginning or the end to from the beginning to the end of the level. Took her more like an hour. I cut out a lot of her like running around in circles trying to figure things out. But it's very interesting watching this. Like she starts to learn, like the vocal AI. What's interesting is the different AIs don't know what all the other AIs know. So like vocal AI and playing AI are watching the same thing, but they don't know the same things because they're two different AIs. So vocal AI goes, oh, that's the sound of bats again. But you see that player AI doesn't necessarily pull her pistols out for like another couple seconds because player AI needs to see the bats or something. Like it was really wild.
Hey guys, I'm gonna give my spicy hot take here. I think this is kind of cool.
I think it's really cool too.
This is like, again, we talk about this every time. I think this is really fucking interesting and very cool. And I don't think this is a bad use of AI. This is not, I'm going to go as far as to say it isn't a bad use of AI.
I think this is a very fun use of AI.
I think this is the kind of shit when we talk about the technology. I am not anti artificial intelligence as a technology.
No, I'm anti-artificial intelligence.
Is a useful piece of technology.
I'm anti-artificial intelligence when it replaces human labor or steals from a human's well-being.
Yes, steals from, because there's also labor that should be replaced by AI. There is labor that humans shouldn't have to do that are endangering to us that wouldn't be to AI.
90% of the things that we do on a computer are basically AI. What we consider normal computing functions, somebody 100 years ago would be like, well, this is a living, breathing automaton that you've created.
You interact with AI every single day. I promise you.
Yeah. When a word auto-completes, come on. When it checks your spelling, all of that stuff.
All of that is AI. And AI is not a bad thing.
So this is really cool because there's a second video where you see her playing through level 2. And she plays through level 2 a little bit more quickly, and he just lets it run. Now, where I do think this is fascinating is, number one, just the videos are fascinating and you should watch them.
Very interesting.
They blew my mind. Like the way he talked about how he had to train the AI to see depth. Because the visual AI is looking at a 2D screen, right? And he's trying to teach it how far away things are, how to notice that there's like a door or something's too high to jump from.
Yeah.
And he used the Croft Manor training over and over and over again. But one of the things he said is you'll see when she's looking down a hallway in a big area, the camera kind of goes like this a few times. And he's like, I taught her to look for parallax.
Yeah.
So things that are farther will move more than things that are closer.
Yeah.
And she learned to judge parallax by wiggling the camera.
Right.
And it's just like seeing things like that are so amazing. And I love stuff like this.
Very
the
into
thing
that.
that I do want to bring up here is the thing where we talk about, well, what happens when we use stuff like this to create NPCs in video games and particularly replace and potentially replace a writer or a voice actor?
We are not in favor of that in any capacity. This is somebody who made a YouTube video with an experiment on a technology, and that is neat and not harmful in my opinion.
Yeah.
I also want to agree with Self-Organic that says, I still can't believe we let them rebrand machine learning as AI
Yeah.
and really grouped it all into one thing.
It's really just, it's general AI versus like conversational AI versus machine learning versus a language learning model. Like all of this stuff is like, it's not AI the way you think. Like when people think AI, they're mostly think of a general AI, which is, hey, I think and behave like a human being. I'm an artificial intelligence. This stuff is not that.
No.
This stuff is not that.
It is not that. It is machine learning at the end of the day. It absolutely is. And I just would hate to see us held back in an actual technology from the good things and important things and interesting things that it could possibly do.
Yeah.
Because we are all scared, because we all misunderstand, and because people are like, what? It only does art.
Yeah.
There are really people out here that are just like, I only think of AI as art stealing. And I'm like, hey, art stealing? 100% we're with you, terrible.
Yeah.
Art stealing, bad. There's no disagreement there. You're never gonna have me be like, no, it should be okay.
Yeah.
Art stealing, bad.
But
Replacing art in any capacity, bad.
But there is a thing where when we say stuff like that, and this is the larger conversation that we have to have. When we say something like, I would hate to see a useful technology not be implemented because of all the good things it can do, because we're afraid, because we can't. We also understand that like when you go far enough on that spectrum, you're just a capitalist who's like explaining why you should just like let any technology go through. Like that's kind of like when you go.
That's not the same thing.
No. But it is on the same spectrum if you go too far with it, because that's when you're going towards the kind of like capitalist thing of anti-regulation and let the technology come first and then let
We are not saying anti-regulation.
No, we're not saying
We're not
that.
saying even in a capitalist method. We're actually talking about the ease of labor on humans, which is inherently not capitalist. Because
Right.
if we were to ease labor on humans, how would they keep us drowning in capitalism and compliant?
Yeah.
If we were able to replace a certain section of labor that is harrowing and difficult and awful to people,
No,
then it
and
would
what
free up a large portion of
Yeah.
society to actually participate in society as opposed to just capitalism.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is we understand that the words, like I understand that those words that we're saying can be a lot of capitalists co-opt that language, and a lot of people who are anti-regulation and anti like looking at the ethics of this situation say the same thing, where it's like, let the technology through if it's going to help.
Yes.
And it's like, listen, this is why this is a nuanced situation.
Yes.
Is we have to be thinking about this all the time and thinking about like, well, is it really a bummer if somebody just mentioned the robots that serve drinks at sushi bars? Is it a bummer if the robots serve drinks at sushi bars? Well, it's a bummer right now because there are enough people that need to work as servers to make a living.
Yeah.
And servers do not get paid well, and so they have to work a certain number of hours and like all of this stuff. It's the removal of the capitalist aspect of it where it goes, well, we only need robots to be, we only need people to be servers because we're not giving people enough money to live. If they don't want to be a server, they shouldn't have to be.
Right.
Then we wouldn't worry about the robots. Then we wouldn't worry about this stuff. And so it's like, as this technology is moving forward, And as people are looking at this Lara Croft video and going, hey, if I use tech like that, I could probably make a whole game without using any other people. And some of the people that are saying that are individual developers at home that want to make a game and don't have the resources, and that's cool. And some of those people, as we've already seen, are huge studios that are already experimenting with firing writers and actors and using AI.
Correct.
And so when you watch a video like this, it's important to go like, this is cool.
Yep.
Why is it cool? And not just why is it cool from a tech standpoint, why is it useful, but like, how are people going to try to use it?
Yep.
And what are the important ways to use it? And
Yep.
how do we codify the way that people are allowed to use AI?
And how do we continually live in a world that evolves and what work looks like evolves, unfortunately still under capitalism. But as we go through, been through the Industrial Revolution, right? And how many times and how forever it's been that like robots are gonna take our jobs.
Yeah.
And then how many times it's just been that what our jobs are changed. And at what point does it become, maybe we don't all just have to have jobs. Maybe we all do things that like socially take care of our community that only humans can do.
Yeah.
And we allow machinery to be machinery and people to be people. But that's
But the problem is
a different conversation.
That's a different conversation that requires the removal of weird billionaires. And
Hey, let's keep talking about weird tech.
yeah, okay. Okay.
I've got
yeah.
something.
All right.
I've got something.
Sure. Speaking of the changing of human work,
Roblox, everybody.
Roblox, the new minds that the children yearn for. Roblox, their tiny fingers can get into the sewing machines and the gratings easily. A lot of children, a lot of underage people are working illegally in Roblox right now for large companies.
Well, hey, Roblox will soon start to interview job seekers in-game. Now you might be wondering, what the fuck is that and what do you mean? Roblox is now creating a space within the world of Roblox where they will hold job interviews. On August 10th, they revealed its new career center, an in-game location created by the company as a way to provide early career candidates with a first-hand look at what it is like to be a part of its workforce.
Oh my God, Roblox has made a propaganda machine. You really can make anything in Roblox. You can make a propagandized version of your own company within Roblox. You could do a Roblox in a Roblox.
You absolutely can. The Career Center includes an innovation lab where candidates can see what's coming next for the game. A podcast lounge where you can listen to the company's tech talk show hosted by co-founder and CEO David Baszucki. Yeah, did we get it?
Bazzucki. Bazooka Joe.
Also included is the library, which holds a curated selection of books and other reading materials that job seekers can look over and read before their interview.
Now, so when they say reach early career candidates, they say they want to reach early career candidates while removing geographic constraints from the process. Now, who are they hiring? Who are they planning on hiring through this thing other than just propaganda? Is this somewhere where they're actually going to hire people? And is this somewhere where, knowing what we know about Roblox, are they going to be like interviewing teens from countries where
labor laws
are different and the ability, you don't have to pay them as much and like...
I have an endless number of questions. They say here in the blog post, coming soon, we will be inviting candidates to conduct certain initial interviews directly within the experience. So my questions are this as somebody who is not a Roblox user. Is it anyone can visit the Career Center? Is it you are only invited to do so if you are already interviewing for a position? What is the restrictions, obviously, on age limits and things of the sort with labor?
It says, thankfully, these in-game interviews will initially be opt-in. So if you are interviewing for a job at Roblox, I guess you have the opportunity right now, at least in the beginning, to say, instead of just like a phone call or a fucking Zoom or something, what if I met you in Roblox and we pretended like Second Life was still a big deal, and we thought this was really where the metaverse was, and this is how we're gonna live, and we had a real ass... Honestly, Saige, I'd interview for a job at Roblox if I could do it in Roblox. Not to take the job.
Oh.
What if I could create a Roblox character that did really dumb shit during the interview? What kind of stuff is allowed within the Career Center space? Could I give my Roblox guy like jetpacks and shit and jetpack? Is that what people are gonna do during their interview? Is show off how cool their Roblox character is?
Here's the thing, Anthony.
What's going on?
We're gonna look into this. and we're going to look into what we can do here because I want to find out everything about this process because as you know, I have many dumb things I've always wanted to do in a game. One day I believe I'll be the president of Habbo Hotel.
I believe you will.
Can I get an interview at Roblox in-game?
I think, man, I would love to. You know, I thought this was just where this is just a place for children to be exploited, but maybe it's a place for adults to be exploited too.
Let's find
What
out.
a wonderful time to be alive.
It's also a place where you can recreate the entirety of the musical Hamilton.
That makes me uncomfortable, and I don't know why.
No? You're not sure why?
It was...
Not sure why this is uncomfortable? Not sure what about this could possibly be a little bit weird? Like what Hamilton is based on that could possibly make this a little bit odd?
Hamilton Simulator, play now.
Anyways, it's your Roblox news.
Anyway. Speaking of more, well, I do want to finish up video game stuff because we missed this the other day. And I do want to chat about it because I am very excited. Just real quick, the Lollipop Chainsaw remake now has a title. It's called Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. And it's going to be coming out in 2024 instead of this year. It's been
delayed.
It's been postponed until next summer. Dragami Games wrote, the title has been decided as Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. In addition, the release date has been postponed from 2023 to the summer of 2024. We will make every effort to create a high-quality game, and we ask for your continued support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm waiting for it.
That's cool.
However, we were unfortunate, so talking about some of the things that are going on, like the primary goal of Lollipop Chainsaw is to make it so players who wish to play Lollipop Chainsaw can do so easily, not to make a new game. The ideal thing to do would just to be make a remastered version of the original game, changing nothing. However, we had to cut 16 of the licensed songs, like half the soundtrack, which used like rock songs that were popular. And they're like, and once we had to change the soundtrack, we were like, let's just go in and start tweaking it.
I think that that's great.
I think so too.
Like, obviously, they lost licensing on those songs. Those probably only survive for a certain amount of time or were only able to be put in one game. They could not reacquire them.
Song licensing in video games is way more expensive now than it used to be.
Yep.
And once they were like, well, if we're changing the vibe with the soundtrack, we can tighten up some of the gameplay and fix some things. And as somebody who went back and played it a little bit recently, I can say it's still pretty good, but like there's definitely some stuff with like level design and things like that could use tightening up. So I'm glad they're doing it.
Room for improvement. I love it when a game company, instead of just going, hey, let's just make money off the same game again, goes, hey, people still want to play this game and there's still value in it. Let's upgrade it and give it to them again.
Yeah.
Makes it worthwhile. You want to talk about a little bit of tech, Anthony?
Sure.
So there's a few tech rumors.
Well, there are. Can we talk a little bit about billionaires first? Just a tiny bit while we're in the mode of billionaires. We're just gonna say one thing about this real quick, and then I've got a real story. First one. Have you been following the Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg fight thing?
No, I've intentionally not been because it doesn't matter. It's not happening.
No, it's not
happening. I
happening.
don't care until one of them punches the other in the face.
It's so weird because Elon Musk was like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And we're going to do it in the Colosseum in Rome.
Shut up.
And Mark Zuckerberg was like, why don't we just do it somewhere where we can do it? And let's do it on August 26th. And Elon Musk was like, August 26th? Yeah, I'm so busy with work that I can't train.
I've got a haircut that day.
So I'm bringing weights to work. And I'm just lifting weights while I'm at work. By the way, while I was lifting weights, I felt something, so I'm going to go get an MRI and a full health check, and it turns out that there's something wrong. I need to get an operation, but once I get the operation...
I feel like once they cut into Elon Musk for an operation, there's just going to be piles of worms.
It's just, yeah.
They're just going to ooze out piles of worms. There's no way there are human organs in that bag.
No, and if it's not worms, it's just biscotti. It's something worm-like.
There's something worm-like in there, and I cannot simply believe that is human organs.
So Elon Musk just kept saying things like this, and then he was like, well, why don't we do like a practice round, like a private practice round, just like you and me? And Mark Zuckerberg is like, my dude, Mark Zuckerberg is like posting photos of him like at the gym where he trains. where he like, because he trains in like MMA fighting apparently.
Yeah.
And so Mark's like, because he's a tech guy. They like MMA, the shoes with the toes, and the indoor rock climbing.
Yep.
They love all three of those things.
They love all of those things. And here's the thing, Elon. Just kiss him if you want to kiss him so bad.
Just kiss him, dude.
Because well, what if we had like a private fight first? What if we started by warming up with a tickle fight?
Yeah.
Okay.
What if we started with by just bear hugging each other to see how it feels?
Yeah. If we just tickled each other a little bit and then
Yeah.
maybe we like tussled around, maybe we wrestled.
Let's just put our faces real close. Let's put our faces real close and see how it feels. Maybe. We'll go from there.
Anyways, the current update of sorts is Zuck posted on Threads. I think we can all agree that Elon isn't serious and it's time to move on. I offered a real date. Dana White offered to make this a legitimate competition for charity. Elon won't confirm a date, then says he needs a surgery, now asks to do a practice round in my backyard instead. If Elon ever gets serious about a real date and an official event, he knows how to reach me. Otherwise, time to move on. I'm going to focus on competing with people who take the sport seriously.
So he's going to Creator Clash. Creator Clash 3. It's going to be the Zuck. Creator Clash 3 is the Zuck and one of the Paul brothers.
I also think it's very funny that he keeps saying things like, I offered a real date if he ever gets serious about a real date.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if he ever wants to go on a real date, like a real date where he picks me up, where he plans an activity.
He brings me flowers.
We go to a meal. A date includes a meal and an activity.
Then he knows how to reach me. But until then,
I'm just going to post on my stories of me having a good time without him.
And that's that, baby.
And that's that. So millionaires and billionaires suck, but I will say, here's what happens when you understand that they suck and you do the right fucking thing.
Yeah.
Massachusetts instituted last year a millionaire's tax. I don't like the headline millionaire's tax because it gives scared people who are in the middle class the wrong impression. When you say millionaire's tax, somebody in the upper middle class goes, but all of my holdings and value are worth $1 million. Is this tax for me? No. A tax on people that make over $1 million in personal income a year.
A year.
Per year.
Not your entire worth.
No.
$1 million a year. And it's only a 4% tax.
It's a 4% millionaire's tax. Remember that millionaires used to get taxed proportionally way more than anybody else. Because that makes sense.
Right.
It's not the more money you make, the more we lower your tax rate. But it turned into that.
Crazy.
So Massachusetts passed a 4% millionaire's tax last year. And now every single public school student has free lunch. If you want school lunch, it's free now.
As it should be.
School lunch is free. School lunch should not be something that is put into the educational budget. You should not be serving kids the minimum quality food to put another nickel into the budget because some teacher can't afford to get binders.
Right.
This is amazing. 4% is all it took, and now all school lunch is free.
How dystopian is it that we're debating on whether or not kids should eat at mandatory school?
We send kids to school for longer than a full day's work shift with 30 minutes in the fucking yard to exercise like a prison.
Yeah.
The difference being that prisoners have their meals provided.
Right.
Like, of course, if you're going to send a child somewhere for 12 hours, if you send your child anywhere for 12 hours, you send them to play with another kid, you send them to camp, you send them anywhere, you expect that they're going to be given food. If you send your kid to play with another kid,
America.
If you send your kid to play with another kid,
you expect that parent's going to feed your kid.
Yeah, that parent's going to give you a peanut butter sandwich, and then if your kid comes over, like, you have to feed these children. You have to feed these children. So this is huge. They're the 8th state to expand their free school lunch program since the pandemic era. Federal free lunch was canceled.
Yeah.
There are 8 states that were like, you know what? This is just worth it. We
of course it is.
We should just be giving kids lunch.
It's kids eating.
We should just be feeding children.
Because there's so many layers over of it too, where they're like, oh, well, if you can't afford to give your kid money for lunch for school, then like it's your kid, your responsibility, which fuck you. Fuck you, that's a kid.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. There's so many people that have all of these shit fucking opinions that'll be out here like, well, if you can't afford to have a kid, don't have a kid. Fuck you, that kid exists.
No. And also,
fuck you, that kid should eat.
When I send my kid to not just a state mandated, but a state operated school system that I depend on and I want to put my trust in.
And you literally have to send a kid to.
You have to. I am putting my child in the care of the state for that time. Part of care for a child is its health and well-being. It's not go to school, read out of book, do homework, don't eat, don't make waves. Like, no, if my kid is sick at school, I expect you to at least have aspirin to give my kid until I show up.
Yes.
If my kid is sick, if my kid is hungry at school, I expect that he will be given food to eat.
Yes.
This is just normal shit.
Chi-Town said they do free breakfast and lunch in NYC now. I hope that catches on everywhere. Now we know that the kids will have at least 2 meals a day. Because that's the thing. Again, like you have to send kids to school and there are so many expenses involved in that already.
Particularly with like low income families, when you think about we've got to buy all these supplies, we've got to pay like a lot of even elementary and junior high schools are now like making kids pay for books.
Yeah.
They're making kids pay for all of this stuff. And it's like, or rent calculators, all of these things. Buy your kid a Chromebook. It's only $200 for a Chromebook. No, like you have to, the school system has to provide this stuff. And a lot of low income families look at that and they go, I can't even afford to send my kid to school. I'm not going to pay attention to whether my kid goes to school. It's not important for my kid to go to school. But if you provide for the child, if you say the supplies are here and while your kid is in our care, breakfast and lunch are taken care of.
Yeah.
To a low income family, that's so huge.
Yeah.
In my family, a lot of the time, we ate dinner. Like that's what we got to have. Is we got to have dinner. And like maybe we had some snacks at home, but like there weren't meals. We got to have dinner.
Right.
And so like having 3 meals a day, also I'm 2 inches shorter than every other man in my family. I'm just saying, being malnourished, it's true. It's true.
It's a real thing?
It's a real thing. When you look at me and like every other man in my family are like, why are you so? I was like, because we were fucking poor. We were poor. I didn't get any vitamins or minerals.
Those are pretty important to growing.
Like doing things like this will make more low income families care about sending their children to school.
Yep.
Which is huge because that helps break these children out of the cycle of being low income.
And there's like 100 things that I want to respond to in the chat. There's somebody that's like, I think that like low income families get free lunch in my state. There's also a huge conversation to be had about us redefining what low income means and that being impossibly low.
A lot of those standards
what's
were
that?
made.
You make more than $20 a year? That's not low income.
A lot of those standards were made in the 80s or the 90s and have been not changed very much. So we're talking about like, you know, in Florida, I think you had to make something like under $22,000 a year. Your family had to make under $22,000 a year for you to get assisted or free lunch.
Right.
And my mother, who was a school teacher, made I think like $30,000 to $35,000 a year. So the school system paid her just enough to where she had to put all that money back into my lunch.
Correct. So again, the defining of what low income is in America is like deeply inadequate for what it actually is. And there's also a lot of shaming that goes along with kids that are on the free school lunch programs.
That I was going to say that too. Sometimes there's a different line.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get a different lunch and different food.
Free lunch for all kids at school, not just low income households. Lunch is free.
Yeah.
These are children.
I remember like one of the things about the low income lunch is like people did not want to apply for it. And kids who were on it didn't want to go get it because you had to go through a different line and you wound up with like literally different looking food.
Yep.
They wouldn't even give you that shitty weird flat goopy pizza that they give kids.
Yeah.
Like you weren't allowed to have it. They gave you a certain different food and it was just like,
right.
I remember in my memory, it's all just like white cardboard. You know what I mean? I can't really remember, but I know that like people would look at you and laugh.
Yep. There was also something from a couple of people in chat. Chi-Town said also to qualify for free lunch, you need to fill out forms that require a lot of information that's scary for people to fill out if they're undocumented.
Yep.
And it's like, we can't have kids going to school and then because their parents have like understandable fears of the government, they don't get to eat. There's no excuse for kids not to get to eat.
In Florida, there was a lot of, families with English as a second language, and a lot of those forms just couldn't get filled out.
Yep. A lot of people don't have the help or access for that. At the end of the day, there is no excuse in a ridiculously wealthy country that any children are not eating. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous, and there is no exception for that.
So, hey, tax the rich.
Tax the rich, feed the children. Is that so hard?
What a weird decision. It's strange that it's working. It's strange that it's that easy and it just works.
It should be so easy.
It's so
literally 4% tax on people who make $1 million a year and they fed all the kids in their state. Are you fucking kidding me?
This is something that probably comes up in your podcast a lot. So you may have this figure. I remember reading it and it was specifically low. There is a figure where if we taxed just the billionaires, like a small percentage, it's a single digit percentage, I forget what it is, it would literally solve all of the hunger issues in the United States. Yes. It's a single digit, I forget what it is.
It's a single digit tax.
It's so ridiculous.
Eat the rich.
And there would be tons of money left over. We would all be eating for free.
We'll just eat the rich. That's the solution. We're moving on from tech, I think. I don't think tech is even... Does tech even matter anymore?
Who even cares about technology?
Do you care about technology?
Depends on the day.
It's 10:19.
It's 10:19. We got to talk about
tech we'll talk about tech on Wednesday. Everybody, you may remember a video that's gone incredibly viral of a woman on an airplane being removed from the airplane, yelling, "That motherfucker right there is not real."
Just with the aggressive pointing, and the people who were filming it went back, and there was nobody.
Correct.
There was nobody. She was pointing at no one. She was talking to no one. She was escorted off of the plane, and then the internet got it.
The internet got it. It was a TikTok sound. It was all over the fucking place. She was called, and I don't like using this word, the crazy plane lady. That was just the term that she was given. We don't agree with that. And look, there's a lot to this, right? There is, hey, a crisis is happening. Mm-hmm. A crisis is happening, and mental health crises of any capacity are not funny.
Yeah.
We do not think that a mental health crisis is funny.
But this was a particularly interesting and bizarre situation, and people really grabbed onto this. When she was removed from the plane, there was a huge thing that happened where it was like, hey, nobody's interviewed this woman since this happened. Nobody's seen this woman since this happened.
Yep.
So of course, all of the memeing and everything was like, did she see something? Did the government disappear her? And there were people who took that very seriously.
There were.
And there were people who were just taking it as a goof. But it was out there where it was like, she saw something, she knew something,
yes.
She was disappeared.
Right, which is not the case. That didn't happen. But it is weird that there was no statement. So we didn't know if it was drug-induced. We didn't know if it was a mental health crisis. Again, we were all just sitting in this like, we're going to wait and see because more information will clearly come out about this. And then no information has come out about it since. Absolutely nothing has come out about it. She has not spoken. Nobody has spoken about it. The airline has not spoken about it. She was removed from the plane.
So, if the government was going to disappear someone, this is how it would happen.
But they didn't. She's here.
She's here. She just posted
She's here. So she released a statement in response to it, which is also a very strange world that we live in where people who are made memes make response videos now. Mm-hmm. Like, you never heard like Bad Luck Brian be like, hey, let me talk about, Like, I know that they've used people, like publications will reach out to people, but not like, I personally feel like I need to make a statement on being Bad Luck Brian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There were a few people who back in the day like would own things like Overly Attached Girlfriend, Liana.
Made a whole fucking YouTube channel.
She really ran with it. Brittany Broski has done great things with her face being used.
Fuck yeah.
Even I think a couple years ago, was it BuzzFeed that had like the big series that's like I Was a Meme, and it was like the documentaries?
That kind of stuff makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's just start by watching this video together, which is the first acknowledgement of it since.
She has appeared.
She has
social
appeared.
Media. Her name is Tiffany Gomez.
Hi everyone, it's me, Tiffany Gomez, probably better known as the Crazy Plane Lady, which is completely warranted. As you know, I have been unwilling to speak on the viral video, but I do finally feel that it's time.
Okay.
First and foremost, I want to take full accountability for
what?
my actions. They
What
were
actions?
completely unacceptable.
What happened?
What actions?
Distressed or not, I should
What kind of
have
distress?
I should have been in control of my emotions, and
What emotions?
Yeah.
that was not the case.
Okay.
My use of profanity was completely unnecessary.
Now the profanity is not the part
And
we're
I
Yeah, I think
wondering
it's
about.
okay that you
Tiffany.
said fuck, Tiffany. I
Yeah,
think
you
it's
could
all
say
right.
you could say
Listen,
fuck on an
I'm not
airplane. There's a whole movie of Samuel L. Jackson doing
Saying
that.
fuck on an airplane.
Yeah, that's what he
yeah,
does.
Yeah,
especially those that had children aboard.
yeah. Kids can hear the
imagine
word
going
fuck. It's not a
through
big
that.
deal.
Yeah, kids
And
will hear
trying
that
to
in
explain to
public.
your kid
It's
what
nice
in
that
the
you're
world
apologizing,
just
but you don't need to
happened.
do this.
Yeah,
whole
like I'm
big
sorry you
thing.
had to explain that to your kids. Okay, all right, okay.
We all have our bad moments, some far worse than others.
I will say that was a very
And
the
mine
looking down
happened-
and breathing.
Weird.
Very natural way to look at your notes.
Mm-hmm.
Colleen Bollinger, take notice. That's most all YouTubers who are doing apologies work it into the performance.
It's weird she doesn't have a ukulele for this.
It's strange that she doesn't.
I was expecting a ukulele. I
What I'm
thought that was how we were doing this now.
What I'm saying is like, you know, you do the, and then you go right back up into it. You didn't even know that I checked my notes. You're just thinking about your feelings.
This does feel coached. This does feel scripted.
Well, and there's a reason for that we're going to get into.
to be caught on camera for the whole world to see
Mm-hmm.
multiple times.
I do feel bad that happened. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want that to happen to
Not to sound
anybody.
like Minnie Mouse.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it has been really comical for everyone, and I have highly enjoyed so many of the memes.
She says, blinking back tears.
Right.
It is very invasive and
Yeah, sure.
unkind,
Okay. But
and I don't know
you
what I
did
would
sort
do
of,
without the
you,
love
there,
and support of my friends and family.
you did sort of
They
resist.
are loyal to a fault, and I don't
Airline
know what
employees.
I did to deserve
Okay.
them. Sorry, y'all. I hope that I can use this experience
minutes again.
and do a little bit of good in the world.
All
and
right.
that is what I intend to do.
I don't know why you need to do
I
that.
hope that you
Yeah, that's-
guys
You're just a person who
can
freaked out on an
accept my
airplane.
You don't need to.
apology,
You don't need to like
and
walk
I
the
can
earth like
move on
Kane
with
from
my
Kung
life.
Fu, solving mysteries now.
Right.
Like it's okay. So Tiffany Gomez, there's a reason why this sounds like it was coached.
That's weird.
That's very weird.
That's suspicious.
Now Tiffany Gomez, it turns out, is a marketing executive. She
with
runs
their own marketing company.
She runs her own marketing company.
We're not going to name it. No point.
And her social media has been incredibly scrubbed, which, hey, when something public happens to you like this, that's fine. Scrub your social media, lock it down.
Absolutely.
That video was released on her Instagram and her YouTube. However, there's something about the join me in my anti-bullying TiffanyGomez.com. Now, we see this a lot. We notice that when something public happens to a person, and this can happen for one of two reasons,
yeah.
but when something public happens to a person that can be a little embarrassing or demeaning, they go, sometimes they do this where they're like, hey, now that I've been cyberbullied, cyberbullying is a thing now that I am very aware of and
Yeah.
I want to do something about.
Right.
But there's a sort of person that says that and has ulterior motives. And I'm not saying anything about her because I don't know her. But we did kind of look into a little bit about what Tiffany Gomez is like, particularly when you look at her Twitter, which is not X, it's Twitter.
She's following 16 people.
That's all she follows.
Okay. Let's
So
look at the
who's she
16
following?
people.
So TMZ, sure.
Obviously.
Good morning,
Barstool
America.
Sports.
Now, this is interesting. We
That's-
immediately go to Barstool
That's a red flag.
Sports. Yeah.
Oh, Joe Rogan. That's a red flag.
Okay. The Hodge twins from Steven Crowder's network.
Oh.
Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
Oh.
Lex Friedman.
Uh-oh.
Matt Taibbi.
Author of Griftopia.
Tim fucking Poole.
Uh-oh.
And then all of these stop bullying.
bullying.
So, what is this? This is, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. She is, when you look at her Instagram, she is a woman who runs her own business, marketing company. Has a lot of fancy material possessions.
Yes.
People pointed out, like even in
She's
that,
carrying like a $2,000 bag as she's
Yeah.
being escorted off of the plane.
this looks like somebody is setting themselves up to use this very public mental break as a way to become one of those culture war mouthpieces.
Correct. Now, again, I want to say, I don't think the original video is fake.
No.
We do not think that in any capacity.
No.
That is clearly some kind of crisis. But again, that also could have been drug induced.
Yep.
We don't know, and I'm not going to say it, but like, I'm also not going to say it's for sure a mental health thing. That also could have been straight up drugs.
Yeah.
That shit happens on straight up drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's giving Candace
She
Owens.
also, the other thing is she could have, this was a theory that was going around that kind of got lost in the meme of it all.
Mm-hmm.
But as she was like screaming and pointing, there were a lot of people that were like, just because the camera turns back and focuses on it, like on a fact that like it doesn't look like she's talking to anybody, doesn't mean she wasn't yelling at an employee or somebody else either.
Well, she was yelling at the employees as well.
Yeah.
She's continually saying like, what are you doing about this? What are you doing about this? This is the original video, just in case.
Or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now that mother back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can die with them or not. I'm not going to.
So there's a lot of wild theories coming out about this story.
Hear the commentary, but we can go around. There's a lot of different angles of it. She's escorted off of the plane. She's screaming at the employees.
Mm-hmm. There are some people that were like, "Hey, this could be something where she was screaming about an employee that was in the back of the plane, that was a particular type of person, or just a person who made her angry, or a person that made her feel unsafe that probably shouldn't have, because she was probably losing it on somebody who didn't deserve to have." There's some stuff.
There's a lot of footage angles.
Yeah.
And I'm with the Indecider on this. I love how everyone turns around to look when she's like, that motherfucker is not real. Everybody's like,
which motherfucker? And
which motherfucker? And there's nothing there where she's pointing.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of things it could be, but like from all of the angles, it does seem like she is pointing at like a blank wall, essentially.
But that's why I'm wondering if
where
like,
there isn't a person.
There's a flight attendant walking up who she's obviously not pointing at.
Yeah.
But also like in the back of the plane there is a back galley, and she could have been pointing at an employee who was out of sight as well.
Could have been, but she was saying that person is not real.
That person's not real, and you're not safe with them. Like,
Yeah.
like that
It
to
does
me.
seem like a little bit of psychosis,
Yeah.
or a hallucination that can come from an abundance of things.
Can I tell you why I'm going back to this? I think there was somebody who set her off, and by set her off, it could have been anything, right? And I'm not saying it was warranted that she was set off, but a video like this feels to me like we are about to find out something else from one of the employees from the company themselves. I think the reason we didn't hear a lot of this stuff in the beginning for the last couple weeks was legal stuff, potentially HIPAA stuff, right? If she became a patient of somebody after she left the plane.
Right.
But I do wonder if we're not about to hear another side of this story that makes her sound particularly bad.
Yeah.
Maybe abusive towards an employee or another passenger. Maybe, who knows?
Hey, Joe Rogan fans, am I right?
Yeah. But also as a Joe Rogan fan, she could have been on DMT.
That's the thing.
Could have been a 3-day trip. She could have seen a god that was sitting on the plane that shouldn't have been there.
Shambly said, hey, if someone says, look, a ghost, I'm going to try and see a ghost no matter how unlikely.
Oh, yeah. If somebody,
I'm turning.
Yeah.
Somebody points and says, that motherfucker is not real. I'm turning to see that motherfucker. I want to know. Of course I want to know. Absolutely I do. Also, mostly Megan in the live studio audience said, the way I would throw up if I had to be in a confined space with that yelling. Hard saying.
Gosh. So definitely wondering, like, that motherfucker's not real. Like, I'm definitely wondering if it just means like she's saying that person's a fake ass person. That person's like being shitty. Like, who knows?
It seemed like.
But also, she could have seen a fucking ghost.
Which, again, could be from psychosis, could be from drug-induced, psychosis, could be from mental health crisis, could be from anything. But she did not say in the video in any capacity, which, here's the thing. If you were trying to spin this into mental health advocacy and anti-bullying, If it was just like, hey, I had a mental health crisis and it became everyone's fucking meme, you might want to say that. And I know that it's embarrassing to have to do so, but there is also the possibility that it is something that she is less comfortable saying, like, hey, I was on DMT on an airplane and it made me yell at a bunch of employees. Sorry about it.
Yeah, but you're right. The dancing around the my behavior was unwarranted. What behavior? But the only thing you really apologized for or really even made direct mention of was swearing. So like when you say, boy, we've all had, things like this. It's like, things like what? You need to let us know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This weird thing of talking around it is the other reason why I'm like, hey, what'd you do?
What did you do? What is your deal? But anybody who then immediately pops back on social media only following Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan.
Fucking Tim Pool.
And Tim Pool is somebody that I think we should probably not ever listen to.
That's a person looking for a platform.
That is a person.
And she's a marketing executive.
Looking for a platform, and that's scary, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. She does have a website that she's been trying to get people to go to, which has been down.
It doesn't load. Very interesting.
And I wonder if it's just down because so many people are trying to look at it today.
Maybe. Nothing comes up. I've tried a bunch of times. I've been trying all morning. Maybe it's just not up yet, but she did say to like follow my journey, anti-bullying and mental health.
Yeah, because that's the thing is like mostly Megan makes a great point here where it's like, hey, the proper way to do this, if you didn't have something else that you were trying to do, what is to say like, I'm so sorry, I had a situation, thank you to the employees, I'm safe now.
Yep.
I'm in a much better place, I apologize. Like there was nothing that was like,
she's about to be.
Like I came unglued. Like she doesn't want to say like for a minute there, for whatever reason, whether I was angry, whether I had a break, whatever it was, I came unhinged there for a moment.
Yep.
Doesn't want to say that because she looks like she's looking for a platform.
I'm going to call it right now. You listen to me right now. You save this. I think we've got a very short window of time before she becomes a right-wing anti-cancel culture mouthpiece.
Of course.
About the way that she was bullied and the way that the left and the internet and cancel culture ruined her life of a thriving young woman who worked so hard with a family.
Who built herself up from nothing. Listen, this is coming.
She's a real promising young woman who had her life ruined by cancel culture. She's looking for
this platform. And I think and that's why I think there are 2 points to looking for this platform. Number one, hey, it's just a good grift if you're politically aligned that way. A lot of people are making a lot of money off of that. If you don't have any of those scruples that keep you from doing it, it's a great thing to do. But number two, somebody's going to come out with a story about her as well.
I agree. Now, here is the potential escalation of that. That's what I think is most likely to happen. Here's what I'm slightly more afraid is going to happen. In her doing that, which I think is like 100% based on who she's following. I'm like 100% certain.
Yes.
There is also, what do all conspiracy theories end in? Say it with me, chat. Hating the Jews. Don't actually say that. Actually, probably don't type the words hating the Jews in the chat.
Don't tag hating the Jews in our chat.
Most conspiracy theories do come back to being anti-Semitic. So with that in mind, of her continually doing this, and a lot of people correlating it to things like lizard people or what she sees or things like that, how soon before this right-wing talking piece about anti-cancel culture, anti-woke culture becomes a bunch of people being like, and she probably fucking did see something. Yeah. And you people are trying to hide it.
Well, that's why I think
they don't want you to see what she saw.
That's why I think.
How long till we get to that one?
I mean, we could get there, but I also think that's why I think whoever comes out with a story about her, that's why I keep coming back to employee or other passenger. What are the odds of this employee or other passenger that comes out with like, hey, here's the story of her behavior? It's definitely not going to be a white man. You know what I mean? I think those are two likely things to happen. Once again, this is all speculation. Maybe this is all that happens and we don't hear from Tiffany Gomez again.
Wouldn't that be great?
Maybe she really does just want to start a little nonprofit about cyberbullying. I don't know. Wouldn't that be lovely? I just have a feeling. Call it an intuition.
Call it a looking at our following list on Twitter.
Yeah, call it a all signs point to.
Call it a very clear path.
Call it a thing that many, many other people have done exactly this way many, many times.
Anyways, that's all the show that we have time for today. Thank you for joining us. We're so glad that you're here. We do the show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we will see you next on Monday at exactly 9 a.m. Pacific.
Unless we see a ghost. In which case, we might not be here.
I want you to know if I see a ghost, I'll still be here. And I'll tell you all about it. I can't wait.
All right,
I won't
fair.
keep that
That's
from
fair.
you. I will not gatekeep my ghost seeing.
Gaslight, gatekeep, ghost secrets.
Gatekeep, gaslight. Give me your mom's credit card.
Thank you to everybody who supported the show today by tweeting that we were going live, hanging out in the Discord, sharing stories. We all really appreciate that stuff.
It's very cool when you do that, and we're very appreciative. It helps us out a lot. Thank you, Flatlander, for sharing that we were doing a show this morning. Very cool of you. Thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon keeps the lights on in the studio and is very wonderful, and you get a bonus clip from the show every week. This week, you got to see the setting up of turning Anthony into the Pope.
When the Pope came to the studio, you got to see how that happened.
And when you subscribe,
Wow.
you get the entire backlog of everything that we have ever posted on that Patreon. So go back and check it out. That's at $5 a month. And you can also do things like donate here during the show if you would prefer to go that route. That directly supports me and Anthony in doing this show as an independent network that don't have no money.
We ain't got no money.
We just don't got no money.
We ain't got no money.
And we're just doing our best. It's very cool of you when you do that, and we appreciate it so very much.
Yeah. Let's take a moment right now to thank everybody that supported us on the show. But first,
Yes, Anthony.
Saige, where are you at? What are you doing? What's your life?
Oh, excellent question. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Not Saige. I stream on my channel Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And tonight, I'm streaming Baldur's Gate. How about you, Anthony?
Oh, you can find me everywhere on the internet at Carboni, except for here on Twitch where I'm at Anthony Carboni. I actually streamed last week.
Woo!
I'm gonna stream again tomorrow.
Woo!
We're gonna play Matthew Mercer's Crate Stacking Simulator 2000, the highest rated PC game ever made.
Actually, in addition, and your podcast.
Oh, and I have a podcast.
You also have a podcast.
This is wehaveconcerns.com. It's a good podcast. What's up with you?
This coming Saturday,
Yeah.
we have announced it formally, is Pixel Prom.
Pixel Prom!
We are celebrating our 3-year channel anniversary. Holy heck, I can't believe we've made it 3 years. We're going to be celebrating with a Pixel Prom. We're going to be having people here at the studio. We're going to be celebrating with the people that have made this channel what it is. We're all getting dressed up. We've got prom-themed
So
activities.
fancy.
I have put together an evening, I tell you.
It's going to be an affair to remember.
So we hope that you will join us. That'll be live at 5 o'clock Pacific next Saturday. So that is this Saturday. That is the 19th.
The next time it's a Saturday,
The very next time it's a Saturday will be Pixel Prom.
That's when we're doing it. It's the very next
19th.
time.
That's the 19th at 5 o'clock. There'll be more information out on it. Okay, that's everything.